Good morning, welcome to a Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 5th of the 5th. So it's non-farm payrolls day today, we should really call it. So let's have a look at the other risk events this morning. Let's just bring this up here and roll our way down here. So we have this this afternoon, early afternoon, then we've got the non-farm payrolls for Canada and US. Morning Ian, Rory2, morning Flo, cool morning. So we got those out first thing this morning. Bit of Swissy news there. I don't know, we should keep an eye on that. It can have a bit of a knock-on effect. And we've already seen the Reserve Bank of Australian policies already being released. So the key news really is the non-farm payrolls. That means for me, if I can get a trade off this morning by about 8-9 o'clock, that's fine. Well, 9 o'clock up to about 10, that's fine. Post 10 o'clock, I've got to hope that the trade is running in my direction. And then come 1 o'clock, 1:30 rather. I think as ever with non-farms, it can be all over the shop. We saw some prizes. We didn't see massive moves last time, I can remember, but it's probably worth looking at it afterwards. It's going to be a long weekend from the London market's perspective, so I do wonder how late into the afternoon traders will be trading in terms of volume, whether people will be getting away any quicker but than normal. We see a dip, but the US market's still there and running, so we could see some moves. We've seen a lot of moves running quite late. I mean, take the Canadian dollar yesterday, US dollar CAD, and this really was sitting in this box here. It's been sitting in for a couple of days now, and it actually went at 4 o'clock. It started moving out at it was at 2. And then actually broke down 4, mostly 5 o'clock there, it started coming off. So some of these things are moving a bit later in the day. I was just having this conversation which I shared to the Morning Outlook, because in terms of are the markets more difficult this year? They are to a degree, but it's maybe that we need to adapt, and traders need to adapt to the current markets. And yes, there are sort of quite big switchbacks all of a sudden, so that happens. But at the same time, there's the usual consolidation. There's some trends that are amongst it, but it may be you come down the time frames a tad and look at the hourly trends, and that's the trend you're trading. You may have to discount some of the bigger time frames some of the time. I don't like saying that, but some of these markets are in sort of solid moves to the upside often, and we're looking for continuation to the upside. Yet on the short-term time frames, intermediate time frames, markets are actually moving against the bigger trend for long enough to make some profits. So it's as much as I don't like going against big trends, sometimes I think at the moment you have to for a little while, but just time it carefully. Anyway, there we go. Let's have a look at the markets this morning on that. Yeah, right. Right, let's start with the euro dollar as ever. Yeah, so euro yesterday, it got back up to double tops and just fouled really. It just came straight back off there. It was just come down. There we go. So pushed right back up there. It's by 7 o'clock. It started coming back. I was looking for the buy opportunities around here. It never materialized. It just ended up going straight through the pivot. Then you see there was a lovely trend upwards, and then you've got this chop coming through here. Today, where we've got this nice trend, nice sort of little mini trend coming up. Is this a bear flag? And I'm sort of looking at this and thinking, we'll see how the markets run this morning. But the euro hasn't been behaving, and I think that might be what it is with some of the trading this year, is the euro's been a bit out of sync at times. Behind the scenes though, the pound's still doing okay at times, and it's a bit more, believe it or not, it's a bit more reliable. It's been pushing up, it pushed through its highs, it's continuing to push up this morning. It's a little, and it's, I guess, a case of looking at what we're trading more so. And having a conversation yesterday on one of the channels I look after, and someone asked me the question about what currencies to trade, and it is really a case now of looking at some more of the cross pairs. I used to trade the euro dollar and the pound dollar, and that was the bread and butter and jam of my trading. Now I'm looking at all the cross pairs and often discounting some of these. We did take a good trade on Tuesday rather, on the pound, but a lot of the time at the moment it's a little bit different. I'm looking at crosses. Anyway, pound US dollar here pushing up. No trades for me this morning on this. It's gone really. It's already done the daily pivot, the R1 and R2. Makes it difficult to try and get into any trades. Dollar yen, this is coming down. It's developed into a nice trend again, but you look at what was happening. In the bigger picture, it was pushing up quite strongly. It's then folded over the last 3 days, and we got this sort of strength movement in there. But sorry, come back to the dailies there, and how choppy it basically was, even though it is in a rising market at that stage. But it's really taking some swings, and it's currently on a downward swing. So there are swings into the market, and it's just catching into some of these, and depending on how quick, I don't like selling tops and I don't like buying bottoms, you may have gathered. So you just got to be a bit patient. But this has been sort of moving off, but sometimes moving off like 2 o'clock in the morning back here. Some of the big moves, you've got some nice consolidation here. It's sort of again at late evening, running into the day. Yesterday it was quite a mess, to be fair, most of the time. Retrospectively, a lot of trading's easy. Yesterday not great, not so easy. Anyway, dollar yen at the moment, the only thing I'm looking at here is whether it breaks back down again. It's not the prettiest from where it's sitting. It's sort of curved around and then trying to pull back a little bit. It looks better on the euro yen actually, but the dollar yen not shaping up brilliantly at the moment. But it could just foul back over. I mean, post 8 o'clock is always most important. We've got proper volumes coming through. All right, so good trend down there. Not necessarily a trade into that trend now, or available for us today. Looking at the Aussie dollar, it's caught me yesterday. To be fair, I shorted it from sort of halfway through its range, and it was looking like it was going to roll over. It started rolling over, but got stopped on this one, and it's pushed upwards since then. It looked like it's all coming back off of this sort of the movement here yesterday, but you can see what a chop it's become. Best left alone now. Yesterday when this was rolling over here, I was liking this, breaking down through the middle there. Had some decent opportunities to run it back down to the lows there, but as I said, probably technically, personally, went from the wrong timing on it. But there we are. It's pushed back and pushing back towards the upper point of this channel now. So not necessarily a trade for day. I prefer to be on the short side of it. Fundamentally, technically, it's still sitting down here in this sort of mid box. When you look at it from a weekly perspective, there you go. You can see what's happened. It's good, important to come out. Look at the big trends, really largely to the downside. It's moved up. It's not formed a flag. It's formed this box which is halfway down, and it looks like it's going to roll at some stage. Probably won't now, I've said that, and we'll run out the top of it. But normally when you get consolidation at a top, or bottom, you get the continuation. When it pulls down this midway, you often get the original, the fact that it's moved down, the consolidation, and another move down. Sorry, it's a bit different today, this morning, running through this. But anyway, what we got at the moment is it's moved. It's gone. So it's off the list for today. US dollar CAD. Now, as I mentioned this one, it went perfectly yesterday, but late in the day. It still, to me, looks like from the bigger picture, well, it's around this range. There's a pivotal area that sits here. It's had lots of lows pretty much near it. It's broken that now. Whether it'll come back and retest the underside of this, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not tremendously bullish on the CAD, and of course we've got data out later, which might change things quite considerably, particularly US dollar and CAD employment. If they both go the wrong way for the US dollar CAD, for the CAD, or both go for the right way, it could move quite substantially. Anyway, breakdown here, lower high, breaking through and dropping down. Right, okay, that's US dollar CAD. It's already gone for me at the moment. We've got potential for it to run off towards its S2, of course, because it is running down here, and it's not hit the daily pivot here, so more potential for the S2. We'll watch that as we run through 8 o'clock this morning. It's a CAD. New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar's been starting to pick up again as a tradable currency. It goes through periods when it's quite difficult to pull anything. At the moment, it's showing some signs. It's pushing up there, getting the higher lows through there. It's a much stronger market. It's 4 hourly than a lot of the others. It's having its moment by the looks of things. It's just getting into it at the moment again. It's run up to its R1. Maybe if we could push through post 8 o'clock, we could be running up to the R2. 75% chance if it breaks the R1 now, having not hit the daily pivot. So it's in trend. It's all looking good. It's whether or not these markets this morning decide, well, that's it, I'm exhausted now, I'm going to roll over. Euro yen, this is a bit better looking than the dollar yen, but saying that, it was a bit better. Really looking at its downward trend here. It could be as simple as the break of this low, this bar here later on. Need to just wait out and see what happens, but a break of the lows of that, if this pivot holds. If it doesn't, it could be forming something more. The structural change could be there. It's not overly clear on the trend at the moment. Let's just click on, let's get a trend line on here. At the moment the trend is certainly in this downward direction. You can click on there somewhere. It's right about there, that'll do for a moment, but it's in this downward direction. Really should be looking at shorts the way it's shaping up for me. Let's just see what happens here, but it just might be that today is the day it either just consolidates or it pops the other way. But it's a long weekend in terms of volumes going through the Forex market. It's Mondays, there's a bank holiday, and I expect the volumes to be lighter, considerably lighter. The big percentage runs through the London markets. If they're not there to trade it, it could still move. You could get some good movements, but beware. I won't be trying to do anything on Monday. Anyway, this, as I say, possibility. It's on my little watch list there. Preferable to the downside. Euro pound has become tradable to me. It set off yesterday. I missed this yesterday. It already pitched quite quickly. I was looking for the S1 potential. Now what I'm doing is ghost trading it. Basically, I haven't traded the euro pound. I don't know if I've ever traded the euro pound. Often it just ends up in real strong consolidation, consolidated correlation. At the moment, we've seen this year quite a lot. There's been some decent trends running through it. When you pull out here, lots of consolidation in the when you look at it on the dailies. This consolidated correlation or movement up and down very close, and it makes it look quite ugly here. But when you look actually down the time frames, it is actually having some half decent moves at times, and it's these half decent moves that yesterday we looked in the trading room in the morning. I think Yarrow actually picked it out as well, so it wasn't just me, honest. But the risk reward wasn't right for the S1 yesterday, but look what it did, come back to the underside. Pure technical trading. Anyway, today it's not going to help us for today, is it? It's probably sitting around here. It's getting some divergence where it is. We've had this retracement, so it'll be diverging. A lot of traders will be starting to buy into it because it is doing that. For me at the moment, I'd leave it alone. Right, Euro pound, Euro Aussie this morning. So I'm just looking at this from an hourly. I've looked at a lot of the bigger pictures. Euro really is taking quite a hit against quite a lot of the majors there, but there's nothing there on the Euro Aussie. Euro CAD is one of my favourites. It's changed direction here. It had a trend up for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, and this is what we get in trends for 2 or 3 days. It sold off, moved down here, consolidated, not really going too far, stuck where it is. It's a bit of an in-betweener at the moment. It really is an each way bet. I like the downside in obviously what it's doing here, and it could roll over a little bit more towards the prior lows, maybe trump the S1 even. So just see how it goes. It could be for the way the yen's pushing, and it's not pushing down so much at the moment, but the way the yen has been strengthening, this could be another one to keep an eye on and trade to the downside. Okay, I've gone through a lot at the moment. I'll give you an Australian New Zealand. I've talked about this in the trading room yesterday. In a trading room, we're looking at it, but also I mentioned it later on. Absolutely beautiful off the 4 hourlies here, consolidation, and this is just how we have to play these breakouts, and off it's gone down towards the S1 there. Didn't quite catch the S1, but it's a decent move down there, and this is the sort of thing you're going to have to sit and play. Right, so consolidation, play the breakouts, and try and trade them in trend. You saw it back here, consolidation went in trend. Right, that's it for this morning on that. Let's quickly run through the other markets. Indices. Let's just a quick look at gold first, big picture. So yesterday, no surprise there, dollar's been softer at times, so gold's pushing up and may have more scope to the upside as we're seeing this over the coming days, weeks. It's not certainly not softening up too much. Crude, it double bottomed yesterday basically, and that really stalled it. If you come down the time frames here, well, goodness, that went early. Yeah, that was the early move. I looked at it. Yeah, quite a quick double bottom there. It's working its way back at the moment. Whether or not it will come up further, we'll wait and see. Okay, indices. Very briefly here. So the indices. I'm looking at weekly there, so that's why it's so bad. Right, weeklies here. That's better. Dailies. So daily on the CSI 300 ran into its pivot there. Maybe if you're looking to trade this, a continuation to the downside would be good there, possibly going forward tomorrow. The Nikkei, well, that's not open because that's the same market as we've seen for a couple of days. The Nifty 50. Nifty 50 solid day and continued pushing up yesterday. Gap down today, well, it's got scope to push up, but I like the upper trend. I think it's still got some more in it. It may just consolidate a little bit where it is at the moment. Aussie dollar, Aussie 200. Just looking at this lower high coming through here. It has managed a little bounce here. Maybe it will work off its sort of more. I mean, we had the unexpected rate change there on Tuesday. Maybe we'll see a bit more of a correction as that gets washed through. S&Ps still selling off here, not liking the sort of semi-bullish, hawkish rhetoric coming from the Feds. Up a bit this morning, but overall, I do wonder on these a little bit. Overall, I think there's still some potential bullishness. Actually, I'll come back to the weekly for this, and we broke out of that original trend, and it's just in a horrible chop. This is what's making it difficult for traders in a lot of these markets. Is that it's started to get into a bit of a downtrend, but is it going to switch back today? Goodness knows. Really don't like them as trading tools at the moment. They're not so bad on the shorter time frames, and it may be that you just need to come down a time frame and trade it off here. This looks pretty much like the dollar yen, and yeah, a break below the pivot here today could see a further move down towards its S1 on the Dow. So yeah, there we go. DAX just coming closer to Europe, and it's a pig's ear, isn't it? Yeah, a lot of people would be trying. Now, to me, I was expecting it to come off yesterday. Wow, it just whipped off down there, pulled back up, and then it did come back off again, but that would have stopped a load of traders out either way, I would imagine. Changing course at the moment. We're seeing this through the markets. There's a lot of green on my listings, so a lot of markets are up today at the moment. Maybe it's got more upside. The FTSE here rolled over, catching a bit of a bounce at the moment, but really has sold off this week, and lower highs, lower lows. You see all that through there. Are we going to now get a trend change? It's broken the downward trend that's here. It's put a little higher low amongst it all through overnight trading. It's looking more positive this morning, just about, but it could easily just fold again yet. It may just be a bigger correction, but as I say, it's broken the downward trend. Structurally it's changed, and it's got the higher low in there, so it's got two or three things at least that might be suggesting this could rally a little bit more. Right, that's pretty much it with the indices. I will just look at Bitcoin itself. We take this as the thermometer this morning. Sorry, I'm just running out of time here. So Bitcoin just really not, it's trying this morning again. Yesterday it's consolidation. It's in this consolidation phase still. Really, it has put some higher lows in on this 4-hourly picture, but this is the problem: consolidation, very short-term movement, then lots of consolidation, lots through yesterday, then just sudden sell-off. So it's sort of quite difficult to pick some of these if you're trying to intraday trade these movements. End of day, fine, you've got more opportunities, and you can be lucky on picking some of those intraday stuff if that's what you're doing on these cryptos. But from a bigger holder, if you're looking at it from, as I said yesterday, it's still got the wedge there, still got potential for push up. Right, I'm going to leave it there because it's just running on a bit long this morning. I wish you a great day's trading. I'll catch you on Tuesday. Take care out there, and I'll speak to you later.